Hey everybody and welcome. I know it's been a while since I've done a video. Promised to do a video of what the outcome was of our chickens when we received them back from the processor, and that's what we're going to talk about today on Pekin Knoll Farms. Like I mentioned, been a while since we've done a video. I've shot a bunch of videos. I just wasn't happy with the outcome, whether it's audio, lighting, whatever it was. Um, I just wasn't happy with it. So we had to scrap them. But again, here's what we got back from the processor. We've got 53, 54 birds. Not now, but we've ate a lot of them. But this is the birds, how we received our birds. They came not quite frozen. I mean, super, super cold to the point where they were almost frozen. Um, they come frozen. They come very cold. They come in a package that's heat shrink and sealed. These packages last up to a year in the freezer. Um, they got the USDA sticker on them. Information, food handling information. The weight. This particular bird here is 3.5 pounds. Um, we were hoping to get about 4.5 to 5 pounds per bird, but we had some issues going on. Some of them I might have not have mentioned. At one point in time, we thought we might have been feeding the birds a little too much because how big they were getting. There was quite a few things that could have played into this. I really wasn't happy halfway through of them being out in the chicken tractor with some of the feed that I was getting, because the meat crumbles that I use seem to be a lot more dust. And you will have that. The more the bags are moved and handled, the more that stuff breaks down. So, we may look at doing a different feed mix, maybe a custom mix from a feed mill. Looking at my chart, there was a few things that maybe my feed chart, I probably could have fed them a little more, and I think we're going to change things up on the next batch. So that's one of the things that, this is a learning experience, I mean, it's trial and error. I mean, what works for some people won't work for us. What works for us may not work for you guys. It's trial and error. And you kind of learn as you go, and you adjust things. And one of the things you always want to do is just get as much information as possible before you do this, and think ahead. What am I going to do ahead? Like with the chicken brooder. What am I going to do ahead? Let's get this thing ready. Let's get this thing ready to go. That way, when we get our phone call, our chickens are ready. Let's plan ahead for the weather. The week we're going to try to put them out in a chicken tractor, let's make sure it's not going to be wet. If it's going to be raining here in a few weeks, maybe we should get them out a little sooner, kind of like what we did. And then, the weather of taking them up to the processor. And one of the issues we had after we took them to the processor was it was going to be extremely hot. It was very hot and humid the day we went to go get them. Hour, 20 minutes, hour and a half drive. How was we going to get our chickens home? Some people put them in a cooler. Just so happens, thinking ahead, I've spoke to this processor. He advised me, told me, we give them to you in these wax boxes. We can supply you ice. Those boxes stay somewhat insulated because of the waxness. You could put ice in them. One of the things we were going to do was, I had these old moving blankets, and they work excellent if you want to keep something warm. Like, say you've got a lot of food that you put in the back of an SUV, you want to throw them down. You want to keep something extremely cold transporting it, you can pile those on top of it and wrap them up tight, and it seems to hold the temperature in, whether it's hot or cold. So that's what we were going to do. We were going to put them in the bed of the truck, pour ice in the boxes, get them all good and cold, and put the moving blankets over them, put a tarp over them. Well, it just so happens we had just enough boxes that we could put them in the back cab of the truck. So we were able to do that, and kept the AC on. Of course, it was extremely hot and humid. But when we got home, those birds was still super cold, to the point to where halfway through going through and looking at what we had, going over what we had, putting them in the freezer, our hands were starting to get cold. And one of the things that we wanted to make sure, and something that I was going to share with you guys, is this freezer that we used here. This is a brand new freezer, close to 20 cubic foot freezer, completely empty. Wasn't a thing in it. It was running, ready for the chickens. What we did was we put a row of chickens in there in the bottom, and then we made sure we spread everything out enough to where it could get some airflow. And then what we did a couple hours later was rotate that everything in there. Stuff that was the bottom come to the top, stuff that was the top went to the bottom. The reason for doing that is if you load all that up, every meat that you have that's cold, that's not frozen, is not going to freeze, because it's not getting the airflow. It'll eventually get there, but you're going to have to rotate them around, and that's one of the things we wanted to make sure that we did, because we didn't want to go through this 8 to 9 week course here and something like trying to get them home from the processor ruins our batch of birds, or not getting them out. Anything could have happened. That's why I mentioned throughout the course, you always got to think ahead, and you always got to kind of be prepared and be ready. Some things, as you've seen in the videos, there's sometimes we had to make different adjustments. Maybe it was raining that day, we had to move the chicken tractor twice or 3 times that day. Different things. So you always want to be prepared. And this is a trial and error thing. This is a learning experience for all of us. There's several ways you can go about it. There's several things we're going to try to do a little different. Again, what works for you guys may not work for us. What works for us may not work for you guys when you're set up. So there's going to be things we're going to do a little different in the next batch. We were thinking about running a batch here in the fall. I had quite a bit of people wanting me to run some chickens for them, but we just didn't have the timing. We had some family obligations. Me and my wife had a weekend getaway trip we were going to go on, and we just didn't have the timing with the hatchery and the timing with the processor. In order to do that, we would have to have somebody come out and take care of the animals, and we just couldn't fit the birds in that window. So we are definitely got some other things planning in the books. We're definitely going to do some more chickens here in the spring. Going to have a lot of videos of different things. Got a pole barn got to finish. Got an old Farmall tractor we got to start putting back together. It's running, but we just need to do some button-up work to it. Just different things around here. So stay tuned. Thank you everybody for watching. Thank you for all my subscribers and my followers. I wish I had some more. I don't want to have to stoop and do the clickbait stuff, but if I have to, I may have to, but I don't want to stoop that low. Again, thanks everybody for watching. Thanks for all my followers, and I hope everybody has a safe week.